Carter Starocci and 5 other Nittany Lions have advanced to the championship bouts. 6 Penn State wrestlers are NCAA finalists. And because of that, Penn State is absolutely within reach to break the NCAA team tournament points record.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Penn State Wrestling is your 2024 national champion, like that was ever in doubt or up for debate. They have now won 11 of the last 13 NCAA titles, and the Nittany Lions only needed a day and a half of the tournament to do it. This is Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm your host, Zach Seyko, and thanks so much for making us your first listen and watch every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Let me know in the comments what you think about Penn State's performance up until this point. Session 4 went every positive way that it could for the Penn State wrestling squad. And now they are in line to break the team points record set by Iowa back in 1997. 170 points is absolutely in play here when you have 6 NCAA finalists and 8 wrestlers still alive that are now all Americans. So they didn't get 10 out of 10. I know they didn't get 10 out of 10, but they could still break the points record. They can still break how many NCAA champions are actually crowned, since they do have 6 finalists, but they would have to go 6 for 6 here. So Penn State is currently at 148 points in the team standings. That's 22 short of Iowa, 22 to tie, 22 and a half to break the record. Next closest is Michigan at 64 and a half. So let me explain how this can happen, and then we'll go into recapping each individual wrestler as we've done for these sessions, as this is a day 2 recap and also a finals preview for Penn State wrestling. So how does this happen? Well, Penn State is going to need at least 4 individual champions here, and some help from Tyler Kasak and Bernie Truax down in Consolations. They need to win a match. Ideally, you'd like to see them win 2 and finish in 3rd place, the highest that they can finish. But with those respective matchups at each weight, it's going to get tough. It's going to get tough. With Truax, it's Trey Munoz at a 4 seed, and then Ridge Lovett, the number 1 seed, got upset by Caleb Henson of Virginia Tech. Kasak, who's lost twice to him this season, is going to have to see if he can follow it up and get some revenge. So those guys need at least 1 win somewhere along the way. Ideally, 3rd place would be nice, but if you can place 5th or 7th, then that definitely helps. But Penn State is going to need a minimum of 4 individual champions, 5, and then with what Kasak and Truax can do in Consolations, the points record is going to be broken. Now, they absolutely do it if they get 6 individual champions, and then they don't need any help from Kasak and Truax. Those 2 could finish in 8th place, respectively. Hopefully that doesn't happen. You want everybody to finish as high as possible in the standings. But that is how it can be done. They are 22 away from tying it, 22 and a half away from breaking it. And the way now, a little bit, we'll go out of order again, but I feel like it's important to start with the 6 finalists first and then finish it off with Kasak, Truax, Nagao, and Davis, who are out of the tournament, who did lose twice at this point before getting into the blood round itself. Starting with Carter Starocci, going to Levi Haines, Mitchell Mesenbrink, and then we'll talk about Aaron Brooks, Beau Bartlett, and Greg Kerkvliet in the upcoming segment. Carter Starocci. I said Starocci and Griffith was going to be closer than the Lewis bout, and it was. It was a 2-0 finish. Was it more exciting? Was it as exciting? No, it really wasn't. But Carter did what he needed to do, and that is because Shane Griffith is as talented as he is. And remember, he's banged up too. So these wrestlers are not at full strength 100%. Griffith sustained an injury in that Big Ten tournament, but like I said, Carter did what he needed to do to get this one done. Survive and advance. Win ugly if you have to. Bonus points are great, but getting to the championship is even better. I've said that already. He got the escape point. He secured the riding time, and then he just ran out the period. Was he stalling towards the end? Yeah, but it wasn't, even if Griffith got a stalling point, Starocci still wins there, but you do what you do to advance. Griffith, and let's look at it this way. So no, there wasn't any egregious stalling. That's not my point. I'm trying to make light of the situation here because he did back up a little bit at the end. But Griffith just had no answer. Starocci played really good defense, and Griffith could not line up a shot. He could barely line up a shot to attack Starocci, and Starocci just had a counter, had an answer for everything that Griffith tried to throw at him, and Starocci just won the way he needed to, a 2-0 victory, and now he's going to face Rocco Welsh in the finals. They met once this season. Starocci beat him 4-2 at Rec Hall at Penn State, but that is Welsh, the freshman out of Ohio State, the 6th seed, surprising and making it all the way to the finals to face the number 9 seed, Carter Starocci. That is a 6-9 seeding in the championship. Who would have thought, right? Levi Haines at 157 pounds. And of course, I do think Starocci is going to beat Welsh. I don't think there's much, but Welsh is respectable. Don't get me wrong. Welsh is a very respectable opponent here. I think that is going to be an interesting bout, but Starocci certainly wins. Then moving to Levi Haines. Did anyone need their blood pressure checked after that one? Maybe it was just me, but if your heart was not racing after that one between Haines and Bryce Andonian, I don't know that you like wrestling. I don't think you're a wrestling fan. I have to admit, I did not say this with the Session 3 recap, and I probably should have. I was a little skeptical of this one. Did I think that Haines was going to lose? No, he ended up winning by pin in sudden victory, but Bryce Andonian was the type of wrestler to take Haines to sudden victory. Do not let that 12 seed fool you. Bryce Andonian, because he's battled injuries, was seeded at that point. Andonian's one of the most talented wrestlers. He is a top 4 wrestler. So he's really good, but he's severely underrated because of the way things have gone in his wrestling career. But how about Levi Haines to not only come from behind, take the lead, then Andonian ties it, and then they go to sudden victory. Haines gets the takedown and ultimately pins Andonian. Bonus points important here because Starocci didn't get bonus points, but Haines does, pinning his way into the championship in sudden victory. That is one way to do it. You couldn't have asked for a better showing between Haines and Andonian. And we're probably going to get treated to an even better matchup here. Ja'Cory Teamer of Arizona State. So unlike 174 with the 6 seed and the 9 seed, you are getting your classic 1 versus 2 here. Haines versus Teamer in the finals. I like Haines, but Teamer is not that far behind. I've said it all along. I've been confident that Haines is going to win a championship this season. This is his bracket to lose. Teamer is going to challenge him, but this one's still going to go in the favor of Haines. Moving on to Mitchell Mesenbrink at 165. This was business as usual. He embarrassed Mikey Caliendo once already. He's beaten him twice, but he embarrassed him at Big Tens, winning 23-7 the last time these two met, and then this time around to get into the championship bout, 17-9, major decision. Mitchell Mesenbrink is just such a tactician, a technician when it comes to his offensive game. The more Mitchell Mesenbrink is on his feet, the more likely you are going to lose, because Caliendo was good fending off his shots. But that's the thing. That's why I call Mitchell Mesenbrink the machine, because I swear he does not get tired. He looks like he has the most endurance out of anybody. I know Carter Starocci and Aaron Brooks would probably argue with me about that one, but Mitchell Mesenbrink is up there in terms of stamina, in terms of endurance across the entire collegiate wrestling world. All of the wrestlers at any of the brackets, any of the weight classes, you can put Mitchell Mesenbrink as one of the most energized wrestlers up at the top. He just has a way of maintaining stamina and is able to go 1,000,000 miles an hour, even in the final seconds of the third period. And Mikey Caliendo just did not have the gas tank to respond. He took the lead early, and then Mitchell, I wasn't worried in the slightest. I knew Mitchell Mesenbrink was going to handle business. This one does not get any more exciting, though. The championship bout. David Carr upsetting. That series was tied 2-2, but O'Toole has won the last two. That's going to go down as one of the best rivalries. Carr and O'Toole, besides the point. We've said on this show since January, anytime we talked about wrestling here on Locked On Nittany Lions, that Mitchell Mesenbrink was going to be in this conversation as one of the top 4 wrestlers, and now he is in the championship. That was ranked in the teens, absolutely disrespectful, and then just continued to rack up the wins, upset Dean Hamady. And now he's finally getting the respect he deserves. There's going to be more fireworks in this one between David Carr and Mitchell Mesenbrink than the 4th of July. But we knew that Mesenbrink would be here. Jeff Byers knew that Mesenbrink would be here. He agreed with me. That was a great bout between Carr and O'Toole, but now we're going to get an even better one between Mesenbrink and Carr. This one's going to be difficult. I'm not going to lie, because Mesenbrink has not wrestled anybody to the caliber of Carr this season. Hamady is as close to as it is, but Carr and O'Toole were certainly on a different level. And those 3, Carr, O'Toole, Mesenbrink, were the top 3, and then it was everybody else. That's just the fact of the matter. At 165, it was this 3's weight class, and any of them could have come out on top. Now it's Carr and Mesenbrink, and this one is going to be one of the most even matchups out of all the NCAA finals. Aaron Brooks, Beau Bartlett, Greg Kerkvliet are in the finals as well. To start off the second segment, I'm going to tell you who is the most likely to win the championship at their respective weight versus who is the least likely, and then continue to recap each individual wrestler's performance. That's coming up next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. This week's March Madness bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest. And just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs, these guys were able to take it to the next level. About the Arizona Wildcats, they can only be described as an Armada. This 2-seed is as hardcore as it gets out there. So it's no wonder when they took it to Long Beach State in the first round of the NCAA tournament. They're the favorite pick by many to make a run, and they will face Dayton this weekend for a chance to go to the Sweet 16. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop now at nissanusa.com. That's nissanusa.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV Stick, which you can plug into any existing TV, and it'll provide access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have Fire TV. Fire TV has recently created the Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On, most of the big pro leagues, and the college conferences as well. Fire TV lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the wide world of sports. From March Madness to the NBA to Major League Baseball and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, and cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out the Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Do you have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring the biggest stories without all of the screaming, all of the yelling. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube and now on the free Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. I want to rank the wrestlers in terms of the likelihood of who will win versus who might be in a tougher matchup here. I'm not saying that all 6 can't win, but I want to project almost the odds of who's the most likely and who's the least likely. The obvious one is going to be Carter Starocci here. You are going up for your 4th NCAA championship. Rocco Welsh is wrestling for his first ever, and that's because he's a freshman, not because he hasn't gotten to this point, but that is impressive. And Rocco Welsh, like Carter Starocci, is a former Pennsylvania State high school champion and now making it onto the national scene at the college level. It's a good story for Welsh, but Starocci has been here now 4 times and potentially could come back for a 5th. Still up in the air, but Starocci wins this one. I give him the best odds. Aaron Brooks is second simply because of who he's going to face. Trent Hidley. Hidley is going to be his matchup 1 versus 2. And again, I will get to Brooks in just a moment, but I don't want to expand upon it too much here. I put him as the second most likely to win. Greg Kerkvliet is number 3. He's going to wrestle Lucas Davison, who he has beaten multiple times in the regular season and decisively at that. So I put Greg Kerkvliet there. Levi Haines, Ja'Cory Teamer. Ja'Cory Teamer's the number 2 seed. I've already been over that. That's a 1 versus 2 battle. Levi Haines would be the 4th likeliest to win an NCAA title based on the matchup. Mitchell Mesenbrink here. Similar thing with matchup. David Carr is a former NCAA champion. And if he wasn't denied a couple other times, he's been very close, and he's a multi-timer as an All-American. David Carr is the toughest wrestler that Mitchell Mesenbrink has faced to this point this season. And then Beau Bartlett finishes as the least likely, again, similar to matchup. Jesse Mendez is the number 1 ranked wrestler for a reason at 141. I feel like his offensive game is better than Bartlett's. And Bartlett lost to him the last time in the Big Ten Championship. I know Bartlett beat him at Rec Hall, but as far as recency bias goes, it applies here. Jesse Mendez holds the last victory over Bartlett. It's 1-1. Let's see how they settle it in the championship, but that's how I would rank them. Starocci, Brooks, Kerkvliet, Haines, Mesenbrink, and Bartlett from most likely to least likely in the finals. Now let's get back to recapping these individual wrestling performances. Aaron Brooks, I don't want to say his path was easy, but when I have my notes in front of me here, I have the least amount written for him because it's just business as usual, status quo, and I don't want to discredit what he's done here, but just look at the results. It's unfair. Part of it has to do with competition. There were some, again, he didn't face a 4th seed here in the semifinal. He faced the 12th seed, but he took out everyone he needed to. And part of it is probably because he just makes it look so easy. I've said it, he's in a class of his own, but he's really made it look that easy. Tech fall in the opening round. In round 2, win by fall. In the quarterfinals, pinning the number 8 seed and then Tech falling the number 12 seed. Aaron Brooks is going to get a true test for once here. Trent Hidley, what is this, part 4, part 5? They've wrestled in freestyle outside of collegiate dual meets. They've wrestled at the NCAA tournament multiple times now, and Brooks has won every single time. Aaron Brooks owns this series. That's why I put him as the second most likely to win, because he's owned this head-to-head matchup with Trent Hidley. I do think Trent Hidley's on a mission. It is no disrespect to Hidley. He's a 2-time Pennsylvania state champion here, trying to capture his first NCAA title. And the reason for that is because Aaron Brooks has stood in the way each and every single time to deny Hidley, and Brooks going for his 4th NCAA title. Starocci and Brooks are ready to make not only NCAA history, but Penn State history as well, because they will be the first 4-time Penn State collegiate champions. Greg Kerkvliet, he's had a nice tournament as well. So there was a tech fall to open things up, major decision, the 1-0 decision against Nick Feldman, who has a lot of potential moving forward. And then Colton Schultz. Colton Schultz just does not have the athleticism to match up. That was somebody that Jeff and I agreed, like, hey, he could make some noise in the tournament, and he did, but then he ran into a buzzsaw that is Greg Kerkvliet because it's just not fair. The athleticism, the quickness, Schultz you blinked. Schultz would blink, and Kerkvliet was behind him, ready to take him down. I thought he was going to be able to major decision him, but Schultz was able to sneak away, and it was an 8-1 decision. But the quickness, the speed, the overall athleticism was just the difference. And now Kerkvliet is going to face Lucas Davison in the finals. Davison has wrestled like a man possessed in this tournament. I don't know what's gotten into him, because Kerkvliet has defeated him decisively multiple times this season. But Davison, to come back around on the other side of the bracket, knocking out Younger Bastida, the number 2 seed, Wyatt Hendrickson, the number 3 seed. You got to give him credit where credit's due. I like the way Davison has wrestled, but because of the matchup, Kerkvliet is just better than him, and Kerkvliet will win his first NCAA title here. So all that work for Davis to finish in second here. And then there's Beau Bartlett. College wrestling is romantic, isn't it? I will say this because truly, you could not write a better finish to the 141-pound weight class if you write scripts for movies or anything like that. Seriously, Hollywood could not do it. Part 1, Beau Bartlett wins in sudden victory at Rec Hall to knock off Jesse Mendez and take that number 1 spot in the regular season. Then they meet at Big Tens. Jesse Mendez, final seconds, final minute, I should say, of the third period, and is able to beat Beau Bartlett, get the revenge, and win a close one in part two. And now Mendez holds the crown. But this one gets to be settled in part three, NCAA title at 141 pounds. Like I said, Hollywood could not write a better script for this. Beau Bartlett has been he's gone on a hot streak here. Won by a decision to open up the first round, which was a little surprising, right? That was the 31 seed, but then pinning his next opponent, pinning the opponent after that. And then a former teammate, Lachlan McNeil, was a teammate of his in high school at Wyoming Seminary, and then you win convincingly 5-1, by decision. And now you have Jesse Mendez to get your revenge and see who's going to win this head-to-head series, because it's tied at 1 this season. So you have a winner-take-all, truly a winner-take-all situation here between Bartlett and Mendez. Now, Tyler Kasak, Bernie Truax are still alive in Consolations, could finish as high as third place, but they are All-Americans. They've officially qualified, and that gives Penn State 8 in total. They miss out on the 10 of 10, but because of those two, Penn State can push and break the team points record set by Iowa in 1997. Plus, let's talk about Braden Davis's performance as well as Aaron Nagal's, as they are out, but they had very admirable showings at the NCAA tournament. That's coming up next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. Today's episode is also brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire, and it gives you access to the professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing a lot of hats and might not have the time and the resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched the feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even quicker. 2.5 million, that is right, 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And remember, if you're not already, become an everydayer. Subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast for the latest conversations around your favorite Penn State sports teams. And if you're watching, I gotta get a new T-shirt because they're already the 2024 national champions. I'm wearing my 2023 Penn State wrestling national champion shirt, so I got to get an updated one since they only needed a day and a half to take the team title. In this final segment, Tyler Kasak, Bernie Truax wrestling in Consolations. Braden Davis and Aaron Nagal are out, but they did have solid performances. Not what we expected, but solid performances nevertheless. I want to begin with Tyler Kasak because of all, I know there's 6 NCAA finalists, and that's why we focused on them in the beginning of the show with the first 2 segments. But Tyler Kasak, out of all the Penn State wrestlers, has impressed me the most at NCAAs, and I'll tell you why. Kasak is a true freshman. He was not expected to start. Shane Van Ness, if it wasn't for the injury, Tyler Kasak was going to redshirt here and be someone that just trained in the mat room. Kasak gave up his final year of high school wrestling to train at the collegiate wrestling level with the Penn State Nittany Lions here. But as a true freshman, no postseason experience. You lose the first match of the tournament, and you don't get beat decisively, right? It's a 4-2 decision. It's close. You felt like you could have had that one, and you were upset. That was a 26 seed. I've already talked about how that matchup wasn't exactly ideal because of Jaden Abbas's experience being a 4-time NCAA qualifier and a redshirt senior, that it did not bode well for Kasak, who was at his first NCAA tournament. But as a freshman, that should shake your confidence. That should really do that. That really should have thrown him off. It was a close one. It's not like he was wrestling angry moving forward. For me, I've never wrestled collegiately. I played Division III baseball for a year, but just from what I know, that will throw a lot of other athletes off. and Kasak was tough as nails with it. He goes on an absolute tear through wrestlebacks to position himself to finish somewhere 7th, 5th, even 3rd going into the medal round. Kasak should have folded like a house of cards, and instead he rallied. And that motivates the team. Really, that is a team confidence builder when you see a young wrestler like Kasak do that. Lose in the first round by a close one that he should have won, and then go on a winning streak like no other. And it's also the way, it's not only just getting the wins in general, but it's the way he's winning. Number 9 seed, Ethan Fernandez out of Cornell. He pinned him in 36 seconds. Kasak's the 7 seed. He pinned the number 9 seed in 36 seconds. Then major decision, a fellow Big Ten wrestler in Graham Rooks. And then this one was the toughest of all of them. Jackson Arrington, former Pennsylvania State high school champion, number 3 seed. What is he doing in Consolations? Kasak defeats him 5-4 by decision. That is how you do it. Not only did he just win, but he won with authority. And Kasak truly is the most impressive wrestler in this Penn State lineup for this NCAA tournament. Some people have said to me that they compared him to Nick Lee, and I think that is very appropriate. Nick Lee was the 141-pound wrestler. Kasak's 149, but just the story of it. Shouldn't have been in the lineups this season. Should have been a red shirt, and now he is going to medal. He is an All-American as a true freshman. He's got a tough one. Number 1 seed, Ridge Lovett. How is Ridge Lovett in Consolations? But he has to wrestle once again. Lovett, who he's lost to twice this season, now gets a chance to exact his revenge. We'll see how it goes, because I think if anyone's grown up really fast here in this tournament, it is Kasak. Bernie Truax. So we go from the true freshman to the graduate transfer senior here. Truax, he's been so close all season long, breaking through, because it felt like, fringe top 10 wrestler. Yes, he's been a 3-time All-American wrestler these past seasons before coming to Penn State. But it feels like there's been this seesaw. He's teetering of, okay, yes, he's a top 10 wrestler, but is he truly a top 5 contender? Is he more than just a fringe All-American? Because we've seen that. I believe, and so did Jeff, he confirmed that with me, that Truax is ready to take this next step and finish more than just 8th place, 7th, and that's not nothing to be disrespected. I'm not trying to. I'm really not. But Truax, you want to see him finish better than what he's been this season, and that is the case. Getting an injury or something, just getting banged up in that bout against Dustin Plott, things don't look good, and then you respond with a 5-0 decision victory over Dylan Fishback, who's number 10 at NC State. And then Thomas Stewart Jr. of Virginia Tech, who's the number 7 wrestler in this bracket, with a 5-1 decision. So I think Truax is going to run into a difficult matchup here, because Trey Munoz of Oregon State should be in the championship bout. He's not. He's in Consolations here, but this is the decisive one. This is where you can separate yourself. How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as, somebody that was, an All-American contender, was able to get on the podium, or someone that does finish with a 5th or a 3rd place medal? And I know that's how Truax wants to go out. And this is this one is career defining. And I think he looks at it that way, and he's going to treat it that way against Trey Munoz. This is the mountaintop. Can he overcome it? It will be difficult, but we'll see. Braden Davis and Aaron Nagel. That's how we'll wrap up the show here. Braden Davis, I'm disappointed just from the fact, number 1 seed. It felt like he was turning the corner a little early. But let's be honest here. Braden Davis, depending on how you looked at it, he deserved the number 1 seed. But at the end of the day and clearly he's not. At the end of the day, he was not the number 1 wrestler in this 125-pound weight class. He caught fire, had a favorable path, I should say, at the Big Ten tournament, and capitalized on it and won accordingly. But out of all the 125-pound weight, because he didn't meet Matt Ramos, he didn't meet Drake Ayala at the Big Ten tournament. Those guys were knocked out into Consolations. So like I said, he had a favorable path. This one was a little different. So as the number 1 seed, I'm not surprised that he got upset. You want to be optimistic. Braden Davis is extremely talented. He was able to defeat Lawan, Unger, but these ones were just always a little too close for comfort. I don't know what it was. As a true freshman, and I know this doesn't exactly the light switch turns on differently for each individual athlete. For Tyler Kasak, it has been switched on and it is bright as all hell. But for Braden Davis, I feel like it felt like he was afraid to give up points. He never and as a true freshman, he is being coached a certain way. They are telling him this is how we need to wrestle to advance in the tournament. It's different when you're a junior or senior, you've done it, so you can tweak a little things when you're on the mat. It's like a quarterback calling his own plays when he's a veteran. So we know that Braden Davis is listening intently to his coaches, but it just felt like, why isn't he taking shot opportunities here? Or why is he waiting so long? Did you really think that the best strategy was to go into the third period, have a 1-1 tie, then go into sudden victory? And Davis was so close. We want to talk about, you're mentioning football in this segment. Football's a game of inches. Wrestling is truly a game of inches, a sport of inches. Wrestling, Braden Davis was so deep in on that single leg shot. And I'm thinking here, all right, hey, he's advancing. He's going to be an All-American. Penn State's going to have 9, and then, pivot to Aaron Nagel, and we'll see. We know what happened. Hindsight being 2020. Davis was in on a deep shot against Jory Volk of Wyoming. But with a great shot, there was an even better counter by Volk. So he loses 4-1 in sudden victory. Davis had an incredible true freshman season. It's a shame that he couldn't contend and be a 4-time All-American. But he comes back as a true sophomore next season, and he has a lot to build on with the remainder of his Penn State wrestling career. And we'll finish up with Aaron Nagel. Aaron Nagel kind of in a similar boat here. Disappointing because he didn't finish as an All-American. Somebody who finished 5th place a season ago does not end up on the podium. To be transparent, to be honest, and rehash what was already said in these previews, we knew that this was not Aaron Nagel's year. This 133-pound class is absolutely forgiving. Vida Aruja is the 6th seed, former NCAA champion, because he lost a couple of bouts to Ryan Crookham, who oh my goodness, if you watch that one, major decision against Crookham there, besides the point. Aruja was the 6th seed in this bracket. So you look at across all the weight classes, 133 might have been the most difficult. This was just not Nagel's setting. Jeff has said it, so I'll piggyback off of what he said about Nagel. Next season is really going to be a turning point for Aaron Nagel moving forward. This one, I think, was learn, and there's nothing to shy away from. He was so close, but when you wrestle the number 3 seeded guy in Kai Orini from North Carolina State, you lost 11-4, but that's not an ideal matchup to get into, finish the blood round and go and qualify as an All-American. It was just a tough draw. Anybody else, I think Nagel wins because he responded, right? He loses by major decision in the opening round, but then has a 16-1 tech fall, a 5-1 decision, a 3-0 decision, a revenge win against Nick Vizakis of Ohio State, and then you just face Arini out of North Carolina State, and it's just not ideal, but that's how it happened. So that is your Session 4 recap, finals preview going into the championship bouts tomorrow. KSAC and Truax will wrestle in Session 5. Jeff Byers is going to have the call streaming at gopsusports.com. And, of course, the championship bouts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where Penn State will have 6 finalists ready to go. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very entertaining. If you like this episode, like it, give it a thumbs up. Literally like it. Share it with friends and family. Let me know in the comments section what you think about Penn State's chances of breaking the scoring record and just your overall thoughts from 4 sessions now in the books. Subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions if you're not already, and wherever you get your podcast. Join the conversation, join the discussions for more Penn State sports coverage around your favorite teams. Keep it right here on Locked On Nittany Lions.